Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Monday, the 14th of December, 2020. I am your host, the amazing Super Chris. Thank you for joining us at this ungodly hour. I've got my co-host, Andy Hall from the Laughing in Disbelief blog over at Patheos and the Laughing in Disbelief channel here at YouTube. He'll be joining us in just a minute. And The Rage from the Raging Atheist channel, Nokasuchi from the Raging Atheist channel. He'll be joining us in a minute. And we're going to talk about Ezekiel and other stuff. These guys' links are down there below, so don't forget to subscribe. Go to their channels, subscribe to them. We're going to talk about that. We're going to send you, an atheist Christmas thing. So good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Hello, all. Chris Mallard here, atheist extraordinaire, host of the Daily Atheist Morning Show, and currently burning in hell. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm not dead. I'm just down here for the annual Christmas party. I mean, annual Solstice Awards party. The Dark One, or Lucy as he is affectionately known, is personally handing out the awards. Aaron Ra is getting the award for the most souls brought down by evolution for his African fossil hunt, and Matt Dillahunty has won the Golden Phallus Award for being a dick to the most Christians. Oh wait. It's the Golden Fallacy Award for the confusing the most Christians. Easy mistake to make. To top it off, Seth Andrews has lent his voice to the Gregorian chants this year. It's delightfully hellish. Gotta run. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, if you're into that sort of thing, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. A happy holidays, happy solstice, and a happy new year. Stay safe, heathens. Party hard, fornicate, that sort of thing. But do it safely. All right, good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed one of my little funny commercial thingies. Everybody's safe, ready to do the thing again. Andy, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. I followed one of my many atheist holiday traditions on Saturday night, and I watched the movie Scrooge, the Bill Murray 1988. I think it was 1988 or 1989.
Yeah, that's a good movie. That's such a good movie.
It is, dude. So it is I didn't force my children to watch it with me. My girlfriend, however, was forced at gunpoint to watch the movie with me, and had a very nice time.
Bill Murray is one of my ultimate favorite actors of all time. I love that guy.
He's wonderful.
Good human being too. Yeah.
How about you, Knock? What'd you do for the weekend?
Oh, you know me. I've been messing with the Christians and being the heathen that I am. So it's been a fun weekend. The debate got postponed yesterday, so that didn't happen. But it's going to happen today. So filled with energy as I always am on a debate day.
Yes, you must be excited. Well, before we get too far along, I want to say hello to everybody in the damn nation, all you wonderful people over in the chat. I don't have my glasses on. Let me do some glasses thing. Peep this, my homies. Okay, there we go. Now I can see. Good morning. Hey. Sadanime God. I can't say it all, but I'm going to say Sadami. Sadami? Sad anime. Sad anime. Look at that. Hooked on Phonics worked for me. Sad anime. Good morning.
That. Holy crap, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. It looks like Sad anime God. Aforensis, as in, that's cool. Remember Sammy Jenkins, Trina DeLuca, hugs, no pinching this time. Let's see, Simply Secular, good morning, Simply Secular. We need to get you on the show. Do you want to come on the show? We need to get you on the show and get some links. When do you want to come on the show? Let me know. We'll get you on the show. I'm not scared. I'm a little scared, but not a lot scared. Good morning to Paul Camish, Grumpy Old Dude, all you wonderful people who have shown up in my chat. For those of you who don't know, we stream to my YouTube channel, Andy's YouTube channel, and Nakasuchi's YouTube channel, as well as Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all those wonderful places. What's that place called? TrumpFamilyTreason.com website. I got busy this morning, and I was unable to go put the links and all the things for the show. So if you're normally watch it over there, you're not actually watching it now because I forgot to do that this morning. Anyway, so good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to Paul Camish for the £4.99 of support to the channel. You are wonderful, Paul. That'll come through in just a second. It should ding, make noises and stuff. So thank you all. Thank you. I hope you all had a great weekend, made it safe, and you're ready for the week. Okay, so now hopefully Richard will show up and join us in just a few minutes. Unfortunately, we may have crossed in the night on our messages as to the links to get to the show, so he may not show up. If he doesn't show up, that's great. We'll talk about see, there's the ding. It went ding. We'll talk about Ezekiel without him, and we'll reschedule with him and get it. And I think I saw Jason Folks, sorry, Jason. I think I saw Jason Folks from Dragons in Genesis podcast in the chat. And this guy knows some stuff. So if you want to call in and talk about Ezekiel, we'd love to get your thoughts on that too. So just letting you know. And for those who don't know, what's the phone number, Andy?
My personal phone number, I do not give out, my friend.
1-800-GOOD-LOVE.
I do not give out my telephone number, but the telephone number for the show, is that what you're asking me? It's
Yes.
940-326-7469, and that's 940-damn-show.
Damn show. So if you want to call us and visitate with us, give us a call. Be patient with me as I'm getting things going. So yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. Andy, you got the look. You're waving.
We should also let people know that YouTube was awfully weird this morning, as well as Google.
Weird.
So hopefully we'll be able to run the whole show. Hopefully I'll be able to stay in frame. I don't know. Yeah, Google was also messed up too.
Oh, I see. I was busy. I was actually on non-normal platforms. I was on Skype. I don't normally Skype a lot, but I was Skyping this morning. Not video Skyping, just Skyping. Anyway, so guys, what are your thoughts? What do you know about? We'll start with Ezekiel, and as I mentioned, our expert about Ezekiel has not shown up, so we'll wander. Of course, you have a baseball. Is that a softball? It's a softball.
It's these dryer balls, to tell you the truth.
Oh, it's a dryer ball.
As you can probably guess, I did not purchase this dryer ball, but rather it is my girlfriend's dryer, well, one of the many dryer balls, to tell you the truth. And
she has a lot of dryer balls?
Apparently, yeah.
Would you hold it up to the thing? So we can observe it?
What is a dryer ball?
Good question. I believe. And
I must have a girl dryer because mine doesn't have any of those.
Very good. I saw what you did there. Very good. It is supposed to keep large products from clumping together in the dryer, because you know how you can have like towel or sheets. Like I said, my field of expertise, not dryer balls, but from what I understand of basic physics in the dryer, I believe this is supposed to keep the warring parties within the dryer separated into dryer DMZ, demilitarized zones. That's what I think. So,
Trina DeLuca says it also eliminates the need for dryer sheets. We've got one of those. We thought we were going to be clever and move into the future world where the future is, and we purchased one of those agitatorless washers. And we'll do our bedding and stuff, and we'll throw a couple of sheets and a blanket or something. And when it's done, it comes out of there looking like a moon pie every time. It's like flat on top. It's like one blanket. The big blanket will be like a moon. It'll be like that UFO sleeking across the screen there. That's what it looked like. And all the other sheets and stuff will be up inside of it. I kid you not. I wouldn't lie to you in front of God and everybody. Every time you put big towels and stuff. So whatever you were like with that thing, I thought, man, would that keep it from doing that? No, it's not a washer ball. It's a dryer ball.
Yeah,
not a washer ball.
I'm a perpetual bachelor, so my perceptions of doing laundry is throw everything together, some laundry soap, you're good. Dryer sheets, what's that? What's and separating whites and darks? I mean, no.
I had a female roommate right after my divorce. We weren't sleeping together. We were longtime friends, and she was amazed at my washer dryer habits. She's like, "Did you put any laundry soap in the washer, Andy?" It's like, no. No. I mean, I don't have any, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
Yeah. Tanker 19K Avocado says ours looks like a spare tire cover. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Whenever I open it up, that's what it looks like. It looks like a spare tire cover, and all the other whatever blankets, pillowcases, all of it's stuffed inside of it. It's magic. It's like magic. I don't know how it works, but it's magic. If only if you wanted it to do that, there's no possible way you could design a machine that would turn it into a donut without a hole and put everything inside of it like that. It just would not happen.
If you ask me about how certain things work, I think I could spitball a lot of different, like how does the internal combustion engine work? All right, well, there's these little explosions and there's pistons, but actually me working on a car, no way. Doing the maths about it, about the dryer balls vis-a-vis the blankets and the towels, no, that's I guess that's why I do funny stuff. That's why I'm a comedian. Just know enough to make shitty jokes. That's about it.
Dryer balls are above your pay grade. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly it.
Understood. I don't blame you a bit. All right, so I'm still trying to get a caller. So if you want to call in and talk to us about Ezekiel's nuts,
you can talk about anything today.
But whether
I'm going to open it up. I mean, because I suppose we all know that the Electoral College is voting today too.
Do it. Oh yeah, do it. Yeah, go. Oh, it is. Oh my
It
goodness,
is.
it is.
Today's a big day. Today's a big day.
Yeah.
So you are shining, smiling. Look at you.
I mean, we'll see if I'll be if I'm cutting off my after show because I've got a rage later. We'll see if I'm smoking.
Okay. I may have the first live stream on the Chris Mallard show channel today. If there's going to be some kind of announcement thing or something's going to happen, I may stream during that because it's a political show.
Well, the thing is, from what I understand, but California votes at around noontime, our time, I believe, Eastern time at least, being a little bit Eastern centric. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I believe that vote is supposed to take Biden over the 270. That's what I heard on CNN this morning.
Okay.
So they're probably either starting already or setting up to start soon. Then.
Well, it's a good question. Yeah. Each state votes at a different time, so I'm sure some states vote at the same time just by chance. So it is something that is supposed to be starting this morning. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. We'll, today's the day we see how far they're going to go.
Oh yeah.
Well, we talked about this. We've talked about these things on the show before. Last week we were talking about when will the first shots be fired.
Well, they were technically over the weekend. So
they were fired over the weekend. Technically, Andy and I were talking about this. I think probably Nokasuchi was there too. Months ago, we were talking about this. They've already been fired. They were fired with Kyle Rittenhouse. They were fired with that lefty guy who shot the righty guy. The first shots have already been fired. It's just now how many more are we going to have? How much escalation are we going to have between what we have now and January 20th?
When they tried to kidnap my governor, I mean, if they would have succeeded, they were going to shoot her in the head in the middle of the state capitol.
Right. Well, speaking of that, they actually had to shut down the Michigan Capitol today, I believe, while the electors are there giving their electoral votes, submitting them. They've shut down the Capitol because of a viable threat of violence.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
I mean,
so it's only the electors that are going.
It's not too safe in Lansing right now, especially if you're a legislator. Even if you're a Republican legislator right now, they're getting threats. It's
well, I gotta ask it, Rach. All right, how did Michigan become Mississippi?
We've always been that. Like people forget. Like Timothy McVeigh was Michigan militia. So this has been going on for a while. Like they were part of the Oklahoma City bombing. They've been. And I had this conversation with CJ on his channel the other night. CJ Cox, he's a conservative Christian, and I mean these groups are terrorists. So to equate them to like Antifa, it's apples and oranges, and they don't seem to get that because Antifa's not going around bombing buildings,
Right. No, they're not.
I don't even think there's much in the way of an organized Antifa at all. Really, I mean,
there's really no organization to it at all.
But you do have organized right-wing fascists, organized right-wing hate mongers. We've got
and they've been organized
a lot
here.
Of shame for our country.
They've been organized here for decades.
Decades. Yeah. It's just. I don't know. For so many people, so many white people here to have so much against brown people. I mean, it's just shameful. It's just shameful. The racism in this country is just shameful.
I've made content on it because, I grew up in the South, in the Southern Belt. I grew up with rebels who thought the South was going to rise again. I came up north and I thought I was leaving that behind. And no, there's as many of them up here too. And it's kind of spread up here. So it makes me just assume that these Confederates have spread all over the country now. And they're just all over the place waiting for their moment for the South to rise again. And by that, they mean reinstituting slavery.
That's what I was going to ask. What exactly does the South rising again? Does that mean
they will never admit
slavery?
They will never admit that. They will never admit it. But they'll tell you it's about Southern heritage and independence and states' rights. No, it's about, and always has been about, their right to own human beings.
CNN will be forced to play Dukes of Hazzard reruns and Charlie Daniels 24/7.
Oh yeah. And I mean, we have the new Confederacy now. I know this isn't supposed to be a political stream, but our guest isn't here. Like they're talking secession now, the new Confederacy, right? Like
yeah. But what happens? That's what I'm saying though. Is it just whenever the South rises again, does that mean that the Southern states separate themselves from the North and become their own, once again, union to do that, whatever they want to do?
That's how I've
does
always
it mean
interpreted
slavery? Or does it just mean slavery?
I've always interpreted it as it will be the second Civil War.
But there's got to be a goal after that. There's got to be more to it than just killing the other guy. What do you have? All right, that's what I'm saying. They've succeeded. They've had their second Civil War. Now they're on their own.
I would hope it's not about slavery anymore. Although I think a couple of them, a bit of them probably do still want to have slavery. No, but I think now it's about that culture war that's been being fought. So, you hear Rush Limbaugh saying, they don't understand us and we can't see any of them and us, and there's going to be no peaceful coexistence. I think that's what it is. It's more about a war now. It's an us against them mentality. Right. You're not like us, so we're going to segregate and separate ourselves, create our own country, and then those like us, you guys come here and leave those liberals over there. That's what I think.
Yeah, I get that.
Growing up, it was always about race. But now I think it's morphed into something different,
Yeah. Well, I just don't see them openly holding racism. I mean, how would they even that's just crazy.
I hope not.
Or not racism, but slavery.
Most of them, no. Most of them, it's about their trucks and their guns and they're chewing tobacco. It's not about race anymore. So I'm hoping that that's what they mean. But again, there's always those undercurrents. Always, Rush Limbaugh, he's a damn racist. Like we've known that since the Donovan McNabb comments.
Oh yeah, right. I'm just saying, I don't normally root for such things. I'm just saying the lung cancer needs to get after that shit and do whatever it needs to do.
It keeps taking its time. Taking
its time.
I don't think it's about slavery anymore. At least I hope not. Maybe that's just my wishful thinking. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. There definitely is a superior. Maybe about just getting the blacks out. Or the people of color out. They may take their southern states and just do everything they can to get them out.
Well,
and make it all white.
When I say it's not so much about race anymore, it's still definitely about race.
It's all about race. Yeah. It's just not about slavery.
It's not about owning anymore.
Right.
It's more. They will say it's about keeping our culture.
Yeah. And I don't think they don't care what happens to people in Tabasco or in Haiti they don't care about those things. So once they got the brown people out of their area, as long as they weren't coming to their area, they'd probably be fine. But heaven help you if you're a person of color in their place. I
was talking to CJ Cox, and he is one of these people. He believes in secession, wholeheartedly. And that's what he said. He's like, I don't care about Europe. I don't care about no other place. What I care is about here, and we should be able to separate ourselves if we don't agree on the nature of the way the government should be able to work. That's pretty much their whole argument. You guys are just so different than us. And we are. I mean, it's pretty much to that partisan line now that there's really no coming back from it. There's no room for compromise anymore. And so what do you do about that? His solution is secede. We'll be here and you guys be there.
Right. I don't think that's a very good
the funny thing about people who don't think I don't agree with it either. Well, is that they come up with solutions that aren't that good. So the idea that there would be peaceful coexistence on this continent between two rival powers is so ridiculous. The only way that you could make this work is make it kind of like 50 little powers or 100 little powers, something like Germany during the Holy Roman Empire, because two major powers on the North American continent would be basically one would have to dominate the other.
Well, we have set ourselves up for where we are at. I think the more viable solution to this is more political parties. You have more representation of every segment of your society, and then they don't feel like they're being left behind. We don't feel like we're being left behind. You have an options to choose your representation. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, right now I just don't see that happening. That's like if everybody were to go, oh, okay, we're going to have multiple parties now and just kind of humdum sing along and go do that. But they wouldn't. They would fight that every step of the way because it loses power for them.
Yeah, I mean, the oligarchy keeps power because of this two-party system. It's much easier to manipulate two parties as opposed to, say, 9 or 10.
Right. This is the most.
It's all going to be one thing or the other. We're either going to become more like Norway or we're going to become more like, a failed state, a third world nation, a failed
Banana
state.
Republic.
Yeah, Banana Republic, exactly. It's one or the other. And a lot of people, liberals included on this, they have this delusional idea that somehow that we can do some kind of middle path, some kind of middle ground manifestation of the middle ground fallacy here, that we can somehow be a little bit Norway and a little bit failed state. And that doesn't work. It does not work.
As anti-war as I am, for 3 years now, I predicted a civil war. I think that's it's bound to happen. This is what history does, and we're there now. So I think it's inescapable. Yeah, I'd love to see a political solution. I'd love for us to come back together and be able to compromise. It's just not there anymore. You're right, Andy. There's two separate paths now, and it's one or the other.
The right has become intransigent. The left is always willing to work. That's half the problem we have. We're like, oh, do you want to work together? We want to work together. Let's sing and work together. But the right's like, okay, let's sing. And then as soon as you reach out your hand, they start stabbing you. You just cannot work with this right. It's the far right. It's the not all conservatives are like that. I'm not trying to be ugly in that fashion. But we know who we're talking about. The Tea Party, white supremacist, right-wing party has overtaken the GOP. Now, normal conservative politicians are afraid to buck that system because they're going to lose all those votes. So there they are, trapped in the wings. And now we've got a whole bunch of them coming out as traitors.
Oh yeah, and they truly don't
trying to overthrow our democracy.
They're in their echo chamber, and then they accuse us of being in echo chambers, but they don't see it. Like I saw in my conversation with them this weekend, it's like, they will accuse you of being in an echo chamber, but then you talk to them how the Tea Party has swung the Republicans to the far right, and they're like, no, what are you talking about? A Tea Party being extremist? What do you mean? Right. And I'm like, huh? So like they don't even see it. So to them, they're moderates. They're middle of the road, and it's like, no, you don't. You're a smart guy, CJ Cox. How do you not understand political philosophy?
Yeah. They don't. That's a tough one there. I don't know, man. It's just right now they could stop. They could, but Trump is in such a bind, and he's the closer we get to the end of his term, the more desperate and the more dangerous he becomes. And he's got this control over this conservatives. How many? 126, the last I heard, and I'm sure it's gone up, have gone on and literally signed their names to a piece of paper saying they want to overturn the election.
Yeah, and they're going to be
Did I not say that was coming, Andy?
Oh yeah, they're going to be pulling. All indicators is they're going to try to pull some kind of shenanigans today. While
there'll be some faithless electors probably. I'm just reading through a CNN piece about what are faithless electors, and basically they're electors who've been voted to vote a certain way in the electoral college and then change their vote.
Right.
So we'll see a few of them more than likely. Will they swing the vote? No. It won't swing the tide of victory.
But it will show us who they are.
Yeah. And it'll show us how far they're willing to go. I mean, when are we going to stop playing patty cakes with these people and start charging them for treason? Because, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're committing treason.
That's what I've been saying. I've been saying, oh, man, I'd hug you. Is that French? Thank you, Derek Cruz, for the $2 of support to the channel, brother. I try to get it in there. We just go on today. Thank you, sir.
The media don't even hint at that. They don't even. It's like they don't even hint that, hey, what Donald Trump is doing is sedition. You don't hear that.
I'll tell you how. I was watching Fareed Zakaria, which I think everyone should watch, 10 o'clock Eastern on CNN on Sundays, and his last segment had a chef on who helps, give tons of food to people in need right now during the COVID-19 crisis. And he was supporting the idea about a department of food, basically, just to help poor people out in this country. And I turned to my girlfriend and I go, wow, I wonder why he just doesn't say socialism is the answer. Why doesn't he say this? Cut to commercial, and then there's a commercial for Fidelity. And I go, oh, that's the reason why. You can't talk about socialism because you have large corporations like Fidelity giving money to your show. And so that is how corporations warp the conversation. Because obviously, if we had a functioning government that embraced socialism, democratic socialism, then yeah, we wouldn't need to have private charities giving out food to people.
Well, to what Nokasuchi was saying about these people being traitors and coming out and marking themselves and all that, I made a video. I'm going to play a video for the people. That's the wrong screen. I'm going to play a video for the people, though, and I want you to... Okay,
real quick,
ahead,
Richard Madsen is he's in the side chat. He says, "I'm a jerk. I forgot completely!" Exclamation point. Even wrote it down. I'm sorry, Chris. The rage at the Daily Atheist Morning Show. That happens. You're welcome
to still join us. I mean,
yeah, you can still. We still have plenty of time, so jump on in.
We're kind of off on politics now. We'll blame you for that.
Well, you blame me. I was the one who brought up the Electoral College today, so.
Yes. All right, so let me see if I can get this here. Screen +3, and I need to change the screen. I got something up there. Let's see here. There's my shared screen. I don't know. I've been tinkering with computers. That's not the one. It could only be that one. Okay. Here we go. You guys should be able to hear it in theory. Don't click the play button in OBS. It's not
120 traitorous roaches came out of the darkness and into the light when they backed the Texas lawsuit scheme, which literally seeks to cast aside our democracy and just let the conservatives decide who's in office. This is open insurrection against our democracy, and they should not be allowed to hold public office. They gave up that right. Paraphrase Section 3 of the 14th Amendment reads, "No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress who has engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. government, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof." These Republicans have literally just tried to overthrow our democracy publicly, and they should not get away with it. Their insurrection tried to silence millions of American voices, and it cannot go unpunished. This is not democracy. These are not patriots, and they should not be allowed a place in our government. These trash GOP Tea Party politicians are traitors to America, traitors to democracy and the Constitution, and they should not be seated when the 117th Congress convenes. 14th Amendment now.
See, that's how I feel about it.
I agree. We have laws in place. We should use them. They shouldn't be able to break the law. Like if I were to do something traitorous towards the United States of America, they would bring the full brunt of the United States government down upon me. What makes them any different than any other citizen of the United States?
Right. And yet, here they are. Doing this. Why? How is it they get away with it? I have no idea. It just blows my mind, really, to be honest with you.
I mean, look what they did to Snowden. Snowden exposed them for what they are, and he's been on the run his entire life. And yet, these congressmen can just sit there and betray the country. I would argue that Snowden is a hero of the country. And he's running for his life, and these congressmen are sitting in their push homes and plotting the takeover of the United States of America and getting absolutely away with it. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess I kind of get into it there, don't I? Junk Shop Library. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know about Snowden. I don't know enough about his situation. Really, I just don't know enough. I don't have the facts.
He exposed the NSA. He exposed the American government spying on American citizens.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's bad. I get you. I totally get you. I just, like I said, I don't know enough about it to really speak to it. But there are other complications we've got. We've got things where we can't hear Andy. Andy's talking and we don't hear him. I think Andy may have muted himself.
I muted myself, yeah. The reason why people get away with these things, it's summed up by the Athenian siege and Milos, I believe that's how you pronounce it, is that the strong do what they can, the weak suffer what they must. And that's basically how it boils down. A lot of people get caught up in what's legal or what's reasonable or what the law says, but in all reality, the law is only there to bind the powerful as much as it can. But ultimately, it's our jobs. It is a use of force, either by voting or by activism, to make people behave themselves. Ultimately,
right. Well, I really like something Nokasuchi said earlier is that the right would be pursuing every avenue they could to prosecute this 14th Amendment thing if the left were doing it. Where's Nancy Pelosi? Why are they not doing this? Now, I heard there's the New Jersey senator. I don't remember his name. He may be a congressman, not a senator. I don't remember his name. He's the one who's pushing this idea of bringing forth the 14th Amendment, the third section of the 14th. He's the one who's trying to push this to keep these people from being seated. I heard that Nancy Pelosi kind of sent out some message to some of the DNC talking about they're trying to overthrow our government or something like that. But I never heard her support that. I want to hear them support this. I want to see them doing something. I see a lot on the right. The right is assaulting our government, our institutions, our democracy, our freedoms, our voting system. They're just bashing the hell out of our country. Where's the left? Where's Nancy Pelosi? Them try to keep these people from getting unseated. I see one or two good ideas. Where's the rest of them? I want those voices.
They won the election, so it's all over.
Yeah, I do try to be fair to Nancy because I do understand that she is a moderate and she fights hard when she thinks she can win, and then she doesn't when she thinks there's no absolute chance of winning. So I try to be fair. I don't see
why there's not a way to win though. This has been used before. And
it seems everybody tries to say she's this political masterminding genius, and I don't see that. I see her making bad decisions strategically in the face of just the brick wall that is McConnell and now McCarthy, her peer. So I really see her folding, and I don't understand why Democrats keep reelecting her or Schumer when they just they don't seem to win ever, they pick their battles unwisely. Yeah, they fight hard sometimes. Nancy right now, she's fighting hard to make sure Americans get something from this government, but I don't know. To me, it's always been like just she picks the wrong battles. So I don't know. I don't understand why she's still in leadership. I think we need somebody with gumption, somebody that's going to be willing to stand in open-faced opposition against McConnell and McCarthy, not the other way around.
The reason why the Democratic Party is in a death spiral, and let's be honest, the Democratic Party is in a death spiral, is because they don't want to activate their base in off-year elections, right? Or in off-year elections. Can't. Well, they don't want to because you see that's a progressive base, basically, right? Mm-hmm. If you give too much power to your base, and that means all those people, all those middle of the road oligarchical Democrats are going to be voted out of office. So that's why they're in
like what happened on the right.
Exactly. So the Republicans, and the thing is, right? It isn't like the Republicans gave it to their radical base. The radical base took it from them. They absorbed the Republican Party, and the left here just isn't doing that. The way to do it is to go out during primaries in 2 years and to primary all of these middle-of-the-road Democrats and have progressive.
Right. You're exactly right. And you can see it right now. Donald Trump kept his base. He fed his base for 4 years straight. Yeah. What awesome. Do they do? As soon as Biden wins, they started Democrats attack their base. Obama's coming out now. Slogans like defund the police only hurt. Like, no, we are your base, and you're losing us. We gave you this election. It could be your last. Ship up or ship out.
That's right. Good morning, Richard. Thank you for joining us. Peace and respect. How are you doing today?
Peace and respect, gentlemen. How you guys doing today? Boy, I cannot keep up with this conversation at all. I'm so uneducated about these topics. I know I'm terribly irresponsible citizen. Terrible. Yeah.
Well, really, today we're just kind of batting things around. There's going to be interesting things that happen today. Tomorrow's show is going to be all about what happens today. So if you're down for switching it back to some Ezekiel talk, I know nothing about Ezekiel. I know he's nuts.
Sure you do.
And I know he's got the wheels in the wheels. Well, I know that he's nuts. He may be nuts. Or he may be, that's why I put in the thing, nuts or sheer hallucinogenic brilliance. I thought we'd get your opinion on it.
He also made the prophecy of Tyre.
Yes, the prophecy of Tyre is in the book of Ezekiel, as well as a God who keeps calling Ezekiel by the wrong name, calling him Christ when he's not, and also angels that don't act like angels anywhere else in the rest of the work.
Well, he calls himself Son of Man, right?
Yeah, the one calling themselves God there keeps calling Ezekiel Son of Man, which is not a Son of Man, but the Son of Man, which would mean Christ in the rest of the text.
Oh, yeah. And if you guys aren't familiar with what Richard's referring to is God is talking to Ezekiel the whole time. Or a God is talking to Ezekiel anyway.
Yeah, the phrase Son of Man appears in the Bible 50 times, 30 times in just the book of Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Gotcha. See, I don't know anything about it. I hadn't heard nothing about this. I knew there was some craziness that went on. Now, Richard, my understanding is you believe your beliefs lead to the Bible being more about a story of what's yet to come. Is that right? Is that a fair assessment?
Or
parts of it?
Although interventions in the past, the main event, the big halftime show, is at the end of the planet, where our ancestors return to us. Having caused all this, and yes, they're completely responsible in every way, to invite us to become part of their established society. I mean, if I say, it sounds stupid, I know, but if I said that there was an intelligence who never lived on this planet and doesn't live on this planet now, but communicated to us saying they're going to show up in mass, that's either end times in Catholicism, Christianity, etc., or an alien invasion, depending on how you look at it.
I got a matter of perspective, huh?
I'm
all about aliens.
I wasn't until age 42 and realized there were things within these stories that are true in reality and plausible in the future. I mean, just the plausibility in the future, considering physics that we now understand. It couldn't have been believed even, it couldn't have been thoroughly believed without faith, even as little as 50 years ago.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure. Would you kind of tell us about some of the things that go on? Are you and Nokasuchi? Because I guess you guys are the ones who know the most about it. About some of the things that go on in the Book of Ezekiel. Because maybe an overview. Start kind of give us this is what it's about.
Well, that would be fun, right? Like
if you don't
like
mind,
Naka could say something he finds ridiculous, and I could justify it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna.
I was thinking a synopsis real quick.
I'd like to hear what Richard thinks about Ezekiel, and I can add some little inputs. I'm trying not to go reveal too much to my interlocutor this afternoon on where I'm going to go with Ezekiel.
I see.
But I do know a lot about Ezekiel, and me and Richard would definitely disagree on a lot. But he takes a completely different interpretation than the one I'm disagreeing with. So, his interpretations are very, very interesting. And I've told Richard, he knows this. I find them far more logically possible than what the Christians say.
That's exactly the reason that I accept them, is because they're actually plausible in reality, not because I have a faith position. I really don't have any faith.
Yeah.
But if it makes predictions that are accurate, in plausibility within chemistry and physics, then I have to go, well, those people didn't know that stuff. They just didn't know it.
So let's just take one example that is a plausible prediction or statement that that ordinary people would say, oh, that's a faith statement.
Right. Okay, so the prophecy of Tyre did not happen by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. That just didn't happen. Whether they want to try to say, oh, it was fulfilled by Alexander the Great or whatever they want to say, it's not the actual prophecy that's there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, true that. But I'm definitely not going to speak too much on this.
Okay,
I understand. He's a tactical man, this Nokasuchi. So, okay, so if I went to the end of the story where the Earth is destroyed by removing the oceans off of the planet, that is, and there was no more sea, no island could be found, and the mountains melt like wax. Now, we can all imagine what would happen if you removed all the major bodies of water off of this planet. You'd have huge tectonic plate shifts upward and downward, depending on which area you're talking about. You would have overheating of the crust because much of the oceans distribute temperature. You would have
the water
melting
removed?
of the crust. They literally take the water.
Well, the reason why I was asking is because you say the way you kind of, it was a little bit described as though, the water goes and the mountains melt.
Right.
Well, that would kind of sound like the sun going hot or nova and just melting all the water off the earth.
No, I think it's wormwood. Wormwood comes and explodes into the earth, and that melts the mountains. And at first, the waters become acidic and poison, and then if I read the Revelations correctly, and then the waters either dry up, they dissipate, and they disappear.
which might be two topics. But
yeah, I thought we were.
It doesn't. You don't even need to appeal to Wormwood to get the oceans gone, because what is recalled in the text is the four what would be called seraphim around God's throne, which is given a hard measurement and conversion factor for, so you can figure out the actual size of them, which would make them somewhere around 3,200 miles across. And I looked this up. That's bigger than any spaceship you ever saw in any movie. That they're positioned at the four corners of the earth, out of the sight of the people, and they are to act on the Great River Euphrates, which is not the same as the River Euphrates.
How big was this thing?
Four of them, 3,200 miles across.
Okay, so I mean, we're talking about something as big as the Atlantic Ocean.
We're talking about something spherical. Well, you see,
four of them. And you're going to hide them to where nobody can see them. Four of them, the size of the Atlantic Ocean.
People are going to see them when they come.
Did I miss?
People are going to see them at first, but if all of humanity was gathered to one part of the earth, they would only have to be off the horizon in order that you couldn't see them.
That's a pretty big if there, though. How do you get all of humanity?
Well, that's what the story tells.
Oh, my bad.
So in Revelations, the Armageddon happens over there in Israel somewhere, and that's where everybody gathers.
But I thought we were talking about Ezekiel.
All people are gathered.
Ezekiel, this is all intertwined, Chris. It's all intertwined.
Okay.
But we could go back to Ezekiel and why Ezekiel looks absolutely like an acid trip. Yeah, absolutely, sure. There's things in Ezekiel that don't make sense at all.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Richard. So Ezekiel is pretty much giving you the another Revelations prophecy, or at least Ezekiel explains the motherships that you're talking about somewhat. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Not so much, actually. Ezekiel in how it feels different than the rest of the book. Okay, and then the book has some hard, fast rules that Ezekiel is broken in the book of Ezekiel. For instance, no man shall see the face of God. Ezekiel spends about 30 hours of FaceTime with him. Well, those can't both be true. Also, there can be no abominations in heaven, but Ezekiel is taken to that God's heaven and shown the abominations of man. That makes no sense either. And Ezekiel is told to hurt himself by laying on the ground for, I think it's 236 days in a row, and then flip to the other side and lay on that. You die. The worms you would rot. Your skin can't handle that. He's told to eat bread cooked over human dung and objects, saying, I've never defiled myself. And that God says to him, well, then you could cook it over cow dung. That's not better. That's not better.
All right. No, I was thinking of the Book of Enoch. I am totally in agreement with Richard. I believe that Ezekiel is definitely a false prophet.
Okay, so the question becomes in whether or not he's a false prophet, if he's purposefully lying or he's just telling what he saw, and what he saw is a lie. Okay, so I would say the latter of those two. Okay, in fact, Ezekiel is so freaked out he never does testify.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was probably mentally ill, but I mean, don't let me interrupt you, Richard.
Mentally ill works pretty good.
Well, there's other things. Notice I mentioned up in the description up here, hallucinogenic brilliance. There are a lot of things. If we were to just take all the supernatural out of this, there are a lot of things that could cause these kinds of visions. He could have stumbled across some kind of mushrooms. He could have got some kind of encephalitis, swelling kind of thing. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that could have happened that caused illusions or whatever that can cause these sorts of things. We don't know. God required. NGR, no God required.
Well, I could be reading this wrong, and Dr. Josh, if you're listening, and I say this and it's not right, please correct me and tell me where I'm wrong. But I think prophecy was being a prophet was an actual profession back then. When Ezekiel became a prophet, things happened earlier in his career to where he wasn't sure if he had found the right calling in life, right? Because some of his prophecies weren't coming true. But then he was reaffirmed by other oracles. So Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think it's almost like it was, once you became known as a prophet, that was pretty much your trade. I don't know, but it's kind of murky. I could be wrong, and hopefully Dr. Josh doesn't kill me.
What was the time period that the book was written? Approximately.
Those are all guesses. I mean, we do that according to the style of the language and how they used words. That's how we basically do that.
Yeah.
So
the prophecy of Tyre, when Ezekiel made the prophecy, it was 586 BCE. We know that because that's when Jerusalem fell to Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay.
But what were you saying, Richard?
I maintain that the time frames are absolutely irrelevant because it's not talking about that place or that time in the ancient Near East at all.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because yours is about the future. Am I right?
I think it's only talking about the future, except for the first 5 days and into the 6th day of the book of Genesis is not talking about the future, but actually people being on the planet.
Gotcha.
I mean,
that's certainly a different view.
Well, I don't think a person actually has a choice about it. If I said to a Christian, when will human beings know the truth? They'd say, well, when they're elevated into heaven, that's when they'll know the whole truth, and we won't know it until. I say, okay, well, when does that happen? They say, at the end of end times, they're elevated into heaven. Okay, fine. Would that include knowing the difference between good and evil? They say, yes. I say, okay, well, then that's when we eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They say, no. Make up my mind. Which is it?
I see what you did there.
And that's the major difference between I think you and most Christians, Richard, is you argue that even though the prophets themselves probably thought they were prophesying for their current times, they were in fact prophesying at all times about end times. And so
I think
most of this has never even it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to.
I think it's like when your dad sat you down and said, look, boy, this is what it is to kiss somebody. And it sounds really crazy and it sounds impossible because you don't know what he's talking about. You've heard about it, but you don't really know. But to him, it's just old hat. That's something that happened 40, 50 years ago for him.
It's when he starts showing you that you have to worry.
That is true. That would be. No, son, don't hold your tongue stiff.
Like this.
You're
Sorry,
terrible.
Richard.
that was really awful.
I'm bad, man. Y'all carry on.
No, that is a good warning. Actually, if your dad kisses you in a passionate way, something is wrong.
Right. That's a bad sign.
You should object for anyone who might see this in the future.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, you were saying before I rudely interrupted.
It was a funny joke, anyway. So to the writers that already went through it, and I would quote from Revelation chapter 7, verses 7 through 14, where it says that angels are a group of beings who went through the great tribulation, washed their clothes in the blood of the Lamb, and reside with God. But I only know of one kind of animal that does those things in that order, and those would be humans. So what the Bible is actually saying about what an angel is that it's a perfected human. So that's what. So has that happened here? Has the Great Tribulation happened here? Well, obviously not. We're sitting here talking about it.
Elsewise, yeah.
So then, if I'm going to say that there were humans that accepted Christ and went to heaven, which is what the text says, whether Christians like it or not, then and it didn't happen here, then I have to say it happened somewhere else.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I just don't know enough about the text to
what I'm saying
I guess I need to go read it.
What I'm saying is the reason the whole book, including Revelation, is written in the past tense is because it did happen in the past. And when we got the story of it, could have been up to an entire Earth time ago. We could have gotten the story, but we didn't. We got it very, very late and very, very recently compared to now, So to us, when we got the stories, we thought, oh, this just happened. It had not just happened.
So now I'm confused because I always thought you thought that it was all going to happen still. Now,
except the first time
it is us happen still because it's a repeating process. It's cyclical.
It's like Battlestar Galactica. We've all been here before. We'll be here again.
It's like the Dark Tower. Roland finally gets there to the very top, and he steps back out into the desert.
Right on.
Sorry.
So if you don't mind me asking, Richard, how would you know if you're wrong? What kind of metric, what kind of information or insight would be required for you to change your mind about your basic theory about the Bible?
I'm extremely strict. In fact, if any point of this could not be justified in reality, I would have to completely change my mind or revamp the whole thing or something. I don't know. It'd have to be extreme. I mean, my reaction would have to be extreme. But the falsification of it is quite easy, except for what has not yet happened, which is why I said, is something plausible in the future in a chain of or series of reactions in physics and chemistry? I can't show the future because it hasn't happened. That's obvious, right? Okay, as far as the past is concerned, there's very little of it being historic, but I can say things like this. If the Bible describes that God works with man, then God's not resting. If resting negates working, which is also in the text, then you can't be simultaneously resting and working. In which case, God has not had his Sabbath rest. There's been no Sabbath. There's been no seventh day. That puts us in the sixth day of man on this earth. And if I look at the history of this earth, that means there were 5 days before this. Okay. When we look into the crust of the planet, there were 5 major catastrophic events that changed this planet. So I say those are the 5 days being referred to. Those are the delineations. Okay. Aside from that, there is plenty of depth and introspect about human nature within the text, which is just provable. Okay. And things like the book of Exodus, bless you, sir. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, sorry. I announced I was supposed to be cool like Andy and not say anything. I missed my cue. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. You just
there's plenty in human introspect, especially when considering things like the book of Exodus, talking about a learning process where first you are restricted. That's the word Egypt, which means limitation. You're restricted by a divider, such as I'm in this category of people. I'm not in that category. I'm not an academic, for instance. So you are divided from the academics. But then you need something to bridge that gap so you can start learning. Perhaps it's a book, perhaps it's college. But the first thing that happens is you go into a state of like a rebellion because your old ideas about, say, I don't know, the ancient Near East are somewhat false because they were popular archaeology. They weren't the actual archaeology. So as you start into that learning process, and I do recommend Dr. Josh's books, by the way, on these topics. As you start into this process, you're following a pillar of smoke. That's your old ideas. And the pillar of fire, that's your new ideas. But you're confused and you're contorted by that, which is why you're in the land of discord, in the desert of agony. And yes, that's literally what they mean. But eventually you come around and you follow and you make your objections. Sometimes you wish you hadn't started. You say, I'd rather go back to my ignorance. This is too much work. And you quit college. Some people do that. But eventually you go into the land of media, which is where we get the word media, which means to give argumentation. And you give your last argumentations. Perhaps that's your dissertation. And that is brought forward and spoken of, and you have your final settlements, and then you graduate into the land of promise, what was originally promised in the first place. So that's just evidently true about a learning process. I don't think it's miraculous. I don't think there's any magic involved in it, and that's not what it's talking about.
Fascinating.
This is why I love talking to Richard, man. You can delve in deep and he always makes sense, and you're like, yeah, I can believe that more than what they say.
I have one last question because I know we're running up against the 10 o'clock hour. I don't know if we're going to be closing at 10, but I have one final question, at least for me, before. I don't want to hog the time here. I heard you say plausible a number of times. Does plausible equal probable?
No,
in other words,
never.
Is the smart money
different words?
So, okay, that's what I mean. So you're saying something is plausible, but it seems like that a lot of what you're thinking or your belief system is based on what's plausible as against to what's probable. Is that right? Is that wrong?
It's totally fair for you to say that, but I would ask you, how many in a series would you like to be plausible before you said that's more than coincidental? For instance, if you said, I was walking down the road and I found a tire.
Yeah.
Like a sports car tire. And then I went a little further, I found a rim. And through the rest of the story, you build an entire Ford Mustang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's not coincidence.
I would be, and just, I'm always skeptical about drawing connections, and I am a prudent person, or I try to be at least. Mm-hmm. And if I flip a coin and it comes out 3 times heads, it doesn't mean that there is a predisposition for the coin to come up tails that next time.
That's true.
Nor will it come up heads again, as is referenced by Richard's. If you go by Richard's previous demonstration, then that would mean it's not coincidence. You've hit heads 3 times in a row. You found a tire. You found a rim. You found.
I understand the argument, but that's exactly why I give the example I did. That you found absolutely every part in an assemblable order to make a Ford Mustang because you walked down a certain road.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So if, although I understand your argumentation to say if you had a crowd of 10,000 people in Dillahunty and others, if Dillahunty wants to do this, others have done this, and you flip a coin and you get a series, at some point there will be someone in that 10,000 crowd guessing one flip at a time who will be correct and will end up with exactly that series. But what you just appealed to is 10,000 people and a long series, and one of them is bound to hit. What I said is a 1 in 1 chance of that same. A 1 in 1 chance that the first there's a crowd of 1, and that crowd of 1 came up with the series correctly.
Well, that would be fascinating. That would make it. Yeah. Do we have that in this text?
Absolutely.
Well, now we could go back in the show and we could talk about all the things that don't make sense and laying on the ground for an hour and all, or for a year, or how do we start?
You're missing my point about Ezekiel. Ezekiel's talking to Satan.
Yeah. I picked up on that, but I'm not. Yeah, so it definitely wasn't the real God that Ezekiel was talking to. It was some other God, or possibly, as Richard's saying, is Satan. It was what Richard's saying. I'm not saying that's what happened, but yeah.
Interesting. Interesting view. Very cool.
Richard has a different perception of what a God actually is, though, than what most people would put as that label.
That's true. Well, we're out of time for this show.
Played a lot of terms. Yeah.
Yeah, we're out of time for this show, but we'll have to get you back for another show.
I'm so sorry I was late, guys. No disrespect.
Dude, you're one of the nicest men I've ever met, Richard, and one of the people I enjoy talking to the most because, I don't know, we've had so many conversations, and it's still just scratching the surface.
Yeah. That is true, sir. That is true. And you as well. Thank you.
I got to say this. Paul Camish sent £4.99 of support to the channel and said to say hi to you from him. So hello.
Hello, Paul.
Paul. Paul. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, guys. You're all wonderful. Andy, what do you got going on, buddy? Anything before?
I have a lot of things coming up over the next couple of days. I'm glad that you asked. I have Michael Weissman from The Bible Says What podcast on Wednesday at 11 a.m. We're talking Christmas. We're talking about having an atheist Christmas. And we're going to be talking about misconceptions about Christmas. And on Thursday, the 17th at 11 a.m., I have Dale McGowan talking about Christmas music. And on Friday, the 18th, Dragons in Genesis is popping in. And we're just going to get crazy. That's what we're going to do.
Jason's fun.
And I'm dropping this. First time I've talked about it. We're doing a new show late night on Sundays. Well, late night for me is 10:30 p.m. Thank you very much. With my buddy Jack Materko, we're going to be talking about the Satanic Temple stuff, and there all kinds of stuff going on. We have a guest coming on this Sunday at 10:30 p.m. on my channel. That's also going to be fascinating and hopefully insightful. If you want to learn more about the Satanic Temple, you can clue in, check in with us on that day.
Awesome. It's going to be fun. Nokasuchi, man, what do you got going on?
Yeah, busy day.
You got a busy day.
Yeah, we've 1 p.m. on the channel will be Apostate Alliance. If you guys haven't seen that show, come check it out. John interviews mainly ex-Muslims, but apostates, and we go through their deconversion story, or John and Faye goes through their deconversion story. Good show, needs more viewers. And then at 3 p.m., the debate with C.J. Cox, the synagogue, on the prophecy of Tyre. And then around 5:30ish, we'll see when the debate ends. We're going to have an after show. Dr. Josh is going to come on and tell me how I butchered the history, and we're going to open it up and have a good conversation. So
awesome,
busy day today.
Good.
Then tomorrow we get back to Matt Powell. Andy is going to join us for that at noon tomorrow. So
there you go.
Very excited.
How
about
about
that.
you? What about you, Richard? Do you have anything going on? You want to chill out before we go?
Yeah, I'd like to say that NIFB is a mess that barely adheres to the Bible, and I mean really bad. And I apologize again for my bad organizational skills, gentlemen. I meant no disrespect to anyone or in the audience.
That's all right. You know what? I got to get your email or something. I just Twitter. We'll get with you, and we'll make it happen next time. No worries.
Send me an email, Richard, because I accidentally emptied my emails out, so I don't have your email address anymore.
I couldn't find his email.
All right,
so no worries.
All right, all you except Andy. I can't write Andy yet.
He's a bad person.
That's my Twitter account. You're on the Twitter too.
Right on. Love
Awesome.
to.
Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you to everybody in the damn nation. I'm going to go ahead and run that Christmas in Hell commercial again before we leave. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Take care.
Hello all, Chris Mallard here, atheist extraordinaire, host of the Daily Atheist Morning Show, and currently burning in hell. Oh, don't worry about me, I'm not dead. I'm just down here for the annual Christmas party. I mean, annual Solstice Awards party. The Dark One, or Lucy as he is affectionately known, is personally handing out the awards. Aaron Ra is getting the award for the most souls brought down by evolution for his African fossil hunt, and Matt Dillahunty has won the Golden Phallus Award for being a dick to the most Christians. Oh wait, it's the Golden Fallacy Award for the confusing the most Christians. Easy mistake to make. To top it off, Seth Andrews has lent his voice to the Gregorian chants this year. It's delightfully hellish. Gotta run. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, if you're into that sort of thing, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I mean, a happy holidays, happy solstice, and a happy new year. Stay safe, heathens. Party hard, fornicate, that sort of thing. But do it safely.
Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Cindy Plaza and Ian Davenport. Thank you and have a great day.